white. And the best thing you ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all.
Well, darkness has a hunger that's insatiable, and lightness has a cold that's hard to hear. I wrap my fear around me like a blanket, and I sailed my ship of safety till I sank it. I'm crawling on your shores. And I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source for some definitive, closer I am to find, closer I am to find. I went to see a doctor of philosophy with a poster of Rasputin and a beard down to his knee. He never did marry or see a B-grade movie. He graded my performance. He said he could see through me. I spent 4 years prostrate to the higher mind. I got my paper and I was free. And I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source for some definitive, closer I am to find, closer I am to find.
I stopped by the bar at 3 a.m. to seek solace in a bottle or possibly a friend.
And I woke up with a headache like my head against a board, twice as cloudy as I'd been the night before, and I went in seeking clarity. Well, I went to the doctor, I went to the mountains, and I looked to the children, I drank from the fountains. We go to the doctor, we go to the mountains, we look to the children, we drink from the fountain. Yeah, we go to the Bible, we go through the workout, we read up on revival, we stand up for the lookout. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source for some definitive, closer I am to find, closer I am to find, yeah, closer I am to find, closer I am to find.
Thank you, choir. And good morning. Hey, this is an exciting day. A special day has arrived. A journey that began officially on June 26, 2023, will culminate today with the vote of the congregation for our next settled minister. This is how it will work. After the service, if you have not already voted, in the back corner, Eric, raise your hand. There you go. And Andrea will help you sign up and then vote. And then you can go to the patio for brunch. We will count the votes, and right at the end of brunch, we will come back into the auditorium. We'd love you to stay, come back in, and we will announce the results. Okay, normal stuff. My name, Leanne Hart. I'm your worship associate for today. Pacific Unitarian represents progressive religious thought here in the South Bay. We welcome people of all creeds, races, sexual orientations, and gender identities. We honor the Tongva people who occupied this land hundreds of years ago. We offer religious exploration for school-aged children and childcare for preschoolers. RE begins right after the story for all ages here in the sanctuary. Okay, a few announcements. Thanks to all who have participated this week in Candidating Week. Let's see a show of hands. How many people showed up for that? Yeah, good, excellent. All week long, Pastor Joshua Berg has been meeting with various groups, committees, and staff. We have shared our love of this blessed community and as well as our concerns about our future. He has been a good listener and shared his own personal history and the journey that brought him here. Okay, some other things. If you're looking for a treat, there's one on Monday morning. Kiki, did I see you come in? Where are you? Kiki's back there. Kiki will be offering a free community yoga and sound bath Monday morning right here in the sanctuary at 10 a.m. It's really special. She does it once a month. So if you have that time available, come on in. The next couple of things coming up, June 1st, the PUC auction, the annual auction event, will be held. Now, next Sunday, May 12th, is the cutoff date for submitting your auction items. So you need to have your ideas pulled together about what you want to offer. The auction table will be set up today on the patio. They will help you with any questions that you have. Also, not that far away, PUC's annual family camp at Beneville Pines, June 7th through 9th. Register with Andy or Janet and raise your hand right there. They will help you. Any questions or to register. Okay, Kim Storr will come up for a quick announcement.
Hi, everyone. Let's see. So I've been on the board now for 3 years, and there's some people that are rolling off, and we are really eager to get some new people up on the board. It's a great experience if you've never done it. Do not think that you're not qualified because you just need to. It's a really great opportunity to just see another part of the church and to bond with people. It is once a month, and we meet on Zoom currently, but the schedule will adapt to whoever is on the board. So we really need a diverse group of people that from all over the church that have all different experiences in the church, and all you have to do is be curious and want to do that, and it's once a month. You get to work with a new minister, whoever that's going to be. And so I think it's just a great way to get involved, and you can talk to me and just let me know. I'm making a list of anybody that wants to be on the board if you have questions, and it's a great opportunity. And sometimes it has a bad rep, Liam, but it doesn't need to be. Actually, it was a really enjoyable experience.
Okay, it's now time to enter into worship with our chalice lighting. These words by Deborah Falk. The chalice lit among us is a beacon of hope in a world in crisis, a beacon of possibility made manifest in community, a beacon of warmth through our inner connections, a beacon of light illuminating our shared wisdom, a beacon of connection by our being together. Blessed be. And now, Pastor Joshua, I had to do it once, with his opening words.
That's awesome. This is very exciting. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you to our amazing musicians. Thank you for everyone for being here today. I am Pastor Joshua Berg. Thank you. I almost got it wrong, too. And these opening words this wonderful morning are from Leslie Takahashi. To worship. It means to consider that which has worth. Today, we consider, with gratitude, the many gifts of this community, the opportunity to be affirmed in who we are and to offer that affirmation to others. The chance to rise up together to help remake the world in the ideal of justice. The freedom to choose one's own path to truth and to learn from the travelogues of others. The space to expand one's own spirit and to reconnect after busy or humdrum weeks with the sustaining truths of one's life. Regular reminders that we must see our world through the lens of love, and the aspiration to consider all life as precious. For if all of it is made of stardust, which it is, how can it not be wondrous? So this morning, let's welcome all of these gifts with gratitude, and let us enter into worship with gladness in our hearts. And now, please rise in body or spirit as you're able for our opening hymn, "We Shall Not Be Moved." The words will be up here.
We shall not be moved like a tree planted by the water.
It's now time for the story for all ages with Kara Craig, our coordinator of religious education. All the children and young at heart, come on down to the carpet.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to read you a story today. It's called The Grumpy Gecko, and it's adapted from a book called The Barefoot Brook of Earth Tales by Dawn Casey and Ann Wilson, which is a fabulous book, by the way. Might be my favorite one in the RE room right now. But, okay. In a shady glade, the chief of the jungle slept until, gecko, gecko, gecko. Tiger woke up with a snort. He opened one yellow eye. Gecko, he growled. What do you want? It's the middle of the night. I've come to complain. What's troubling you? Tiger asked. It's the fireflies, said Gecko. All night long, they fly around, flashing their lights in my eyes, keeping me awake, flashing and flickering. I haven't slept for days. It's making me very grumpy. You're the chief of the jungle. Make them stop. Tiger stifled a gigantic yawn. I'll talk to the fireflies, he promised Gecko. Tiger sighed and set off to find the fireflies. Fireflies, Tiger called. Gecko says you have been disturbing his sleep, flashing and flickering all night long. Is that true? Well, we do flash our lights all night, replied the fireflies. But we don't want to disturb anyone. We're just passing on Woodpecker's message. We heard him drumming out a warning. I see, said Tiger. Then I'll talk to Woodpecker. Woodpecker! Tiger winced. The fireflies say you have been rapping and tapping, tapping and rapping, drumming out a warning. Is this true? Of course, said Woodpecker, puffing up his feathers. I provide a great service. Clearly, my efforts are not appreciated. He looked down his long beak at Tiger. Beetle rolls manure right across the path. I warn the jungle animals so that no one steps in it. Without my drumming, who knows what a mess you'd all be in? Oh, said Tiger. Well, that's very helpful. Thank you. Tiger licked his nose thoughtfully. I'll go speak to Beetle. It was easy to spot Beetle on the jungle path. In the moonlight, his back gleamed like polished metal. What's all this? Tiger asked. Woodpecker says you're rolling filthy mess all over the place. Yes, yes, can't stop, Beetle replied, rolling a ball of dung right up to the tiger's paw. Water buffalo drops piles of it all over the path. If I don't move some away, there'll be muck everywhere. Excuse me. Okay, said Tiger, suppressing a sigh. Thank you, Beetle. I'll go see Buffalo. Buffalo! Tiger roared. Beetle says you've been leaving your manure all over the path. Is this true? Oh, yes, sir, said Buffalo, lowering his head. I leave manure all over the path, sir. But you see, sir, it's helpful, sir. The rain washes holes in the path every afternoon. I leave manure only to fill up the holes so that no one trips or falls. I see, said Tiger. Well, that's very thoughtful of you, Buffalo. Tiger's tail twitched. He was beginning to lose patience. He sighed. I'll go ahead and see what Rain has to say. He climbed through the jungle, woodland and scrub. At last, his claw clattered onto the smooth grass of the top of the mountain peak. He looked down the mountain. The sun was rising. Tiger stared. Jungle spread out for miles around, flamboyant with flowers, wild orchids and climbing lilies, trumpets of violet blue and starbursts of brilliant red flame. Tiger sniffed. He smelled jasmine, ylang ylang, frangipani. He swiveled his ears. He heard newborn streams trickling and tinkling. No need to ask why rain rains, Tiger smiled. He watched the water journey from the mountain to the sea, sustaining every living thing on its way, even the tiniest mosquito. Tiger plunged his muzzle into the clear, fresh water and drank. Then he began the long journey down the mountain and through the forests and jungles and paddies to find Gecko. Well, Gecko demanded, did you talk to the fireflies? They're still flashing and flickering, on and on. Did you tell them to stop? Gecko, said Tiger, listen carefully. The fireflies flash to pass on Woodpecker's warning. Woodpecker warns everyone not to step in Beetle's dung. Beetle clears up the excess dung left by Buffalo. Buffalo leaves manure on the path to fill up the holes made by rain. Rain makes holes in the path as he creates streams and lakes and puddles. Puddles where mosquitoes live. Oh, said Gecko. Gecko, what do you eat? Mosquitoes, said Gecko. So, said Tiger, if rain stopped raining, buffaloes could stop filling holes, and Beetle could stop rolling dung, and Woodpecker could stop drumming, and fireflies could stop flashing, but I would have nothing to eat, said the Gecko. Exactly, said Tiger. Gecko, everything in this world is connected. Go and live in peace with the fireflies. The end.
It's now time for candles of joy and sorrow. If you would like to share a personal joy or concern, come forward, receive a candle, then light it from the candle bowl. You are also welcome to light a candle in silence. For all the unspoken joys and sorrows.
Thank you for sharing. Happy Happy Cinco de Mayo for those who are celebrating. Kodomo no hi wa tanoshimi ni shite kudasai. I'd just like to sit in a minute or two, or stand, or however you feel comfortable, of silence. We're not often comfortable in silence. And I think it's very important when we're together, when we're with each other, when we're all interconnected, to take a moment of silence just to absorb and share each other's energy and to relax into that communal energy. So I'll give it a moment. Feels like the piano is responding to the birds. Did you hear the birds? I love sitting here and listening to them. Bless you. And now for a reflection on reverence. Many of you have asked me why I prefer not to use the title that was given to me when I was ordained, which is the Reverend. And so I've done a reflection. I actually created this reflection for my ordination, but it was never read there. We had too many elements. So this is a reflection on reverence, read for the first time in a church. Who and what is to be revered? All, full stop. On condition that there is meaning made for you. Venerate me only if it comforts you, only as I return full reverence, rightfully bestowed. There will come a time to welcome that title wholeheartedly, I radically hope, when the villainized and marginalized and despised and dehumanized and scapegoated and feared and hated and violated are without challenge or exception no longer that. I am pastor, a shepherd of souls, and also part of that whole, of that herd, neither before or above it. Pastored myself the same. Loving care is my ministerial charge, service by grace unyielding, grateful for the service in turn provided me. So call me colleague, name me friend. I prefer not to be called Jonathan, but that's okay if you slip up. Beloved, be loved. Still, recognize there will always be reverence for me, deserving, desiring or not, born of basic humanity. Must recognize blessings abound, deserving, desiring or not, forever to repay with action towards true liberty. And I will call others the reverend, rightfully claimed. But I humbly request, call me other, as all are yet unconditionally that. And living into and loving into fulfillment of that promise through action, in spite of the prospect of peril, is calling, is sacred purpose, bold font, all caps. It is only for the love of, it is only with gratitude for those who have called me to be, those who have loved me into being, beyond parenthetically, that I admit the Reverend may be what I am, albeit there will be neither command nor demand for a reverential title, until and unless the new day arrives with, because it's an infinite supply, reverence for all. Only along with you, beloveds, only along with all beloveds, will I ever truly the Reverend be. Love. Please stay seated for our centering hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So, in the fall of 1999, when my wife and daughters who are here today, my wife and I were newlyweds living in New York City. I remember reading an article in the New York Times about a controversy surrounding an exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum of Art. Do you remember this? And specifically, this painting, which we're going to project here, entitled The Holy Virgin Mary, by British artist Chris O'Feely. Now, the mayor of New York at the time threatened to terminate the museum's lease unless it canceled this exhibition. Now, the controversy, as it was reported, was not about the depiction of the Virgin Mary as black, although I have little doubt those in opposition to it harbored that prejudice. The stated opposition was to the materials used to depict such a consecrated image. The description of the painting lists the materials as paper collage, oil paint, glitter, polyester resin, map pins, and elephant dung on linen. You didn't know this was going to be a day all about dung. I didn't realize that either. You've never heard the word dung and manure so many times in a worship service, but I guess that's a UU worship. Anyway. So you see there's lacquered elephant dung on her chest, and these two are clumps of dung support the painting with glitter spelling out the name of the piece. You can take the picture down. And the collage, the paper collage that I mentioned in the list, oh, actually, could you put it up one more time? The paper collage I mentioned as one of the materials used. You see the little pieces everywhere? Those were images cut out from adult magazines. Now you can take it down. Thankfully, that mayor did not succeed in closing the museum, and the exhibit remained open to the public. The artist, Chris O'Feely, British-born of Nigerian descent, said that the use of the dung was something he discovered on a trip back to Africa, on a trip to Zimbabwe, actually, and although crass-seeming, was a way of bringing that landscape into the painting, as well as a nod to the modernist art history through the dung's status as a found object. That's okay. Not an object I necessarily want to find, but as far as the paper collage I mentioned, he said, as an altar boy, I was confused by the idea of a Holy Virgin Mary giving birth to a young boy. Now, when I go to the National Gallery and I see paintings of the Virgin Mary, I see how sexually charged they all are, and mine is simply a hip-hop interpretation of that. In thinking about this incident, I began to consider the curator's thought process in planning this exhibit. And then this led me to think about who decides in any given instance, in any given location, what is shown, what is seen, what is experienced, and more importantly, how things are experienced. I thought, how much does our free will play a role, and how much of life is curated for us? The psychologist B.F. Skinner argued that free will is an illusion, albeit a necessary one. Behavior, our behavior, he claimed, our will to behave, is influenced by historical causes and current experiences and contingencies. For instance, choices that I have made in my life were influenced by the fact that I was born into a Jewish family in the white suburbs of Detroit. Facts for which free will was not at all a causal factor. Wasn't my choice. It is not of free will that I enter into mental states of hunger or depression at times, and yet they influence my decision to take a bite of food. Nothing we encounter in life is exclusively curated by us. This building was constructed by others. The ocean out there was created mostly by natural forces and is being desecrated by human forces, both beyond my complete control. And that all being said, regardless of whether I have free will or not, regardless of influences by outside forces, I would remind you that in each moment, we still have some ability to actively make choices and to actively contribute to the curation of our existence. We still have choices we can make, even given the influence of mental and physiological and historical or societal pressure that's all beyond our control, beyond my control. I can still choose how I react to a painting. I can still choose to enter or exit this building, to acknowledge and respond to my Jewish upbringing. To take a bite of food is my choice, or to be a conscientious caretaker of the ocean. To the extent we have choices, each of us co-curates our own lives. The mistakes often made are sometimes we think we cannot curate at all. Nothing can be done. Have you ever felt that? Which means curation of our lives involves courage and risk and strength. Or the other mistake we made is we believe we are the sole curators. We did it all, when in reality, how we interact with the world always impacts and is always impacted by others. Now, the etymology of the word curate includes the Latin word curare. And no, that's not the stuff they shoot for hunting the indigenous, to stun animals. That's curare too. The Latin word curare comes from the Latin root cura, meaning care. Curare is to take care of, to care for. And it also shares etymology with cuore, meaning heart. Curate, heartful care. What's more, curate is not only a verb describing the action of selecting and organizing and presenting and looking after items such as art. It's also a noun. A curate A curate is a minister with pastoral responsibilities. A curate who cares is a spiritual guide as well, if you will. The root extends to other words that encompass a meaning of heartfelt care, including curiosity, the desire to investigate and learn from a place of caring. Curiosity. So to be a courageous and caring spiritual guide who understands that we are all in community is to live our UU principles of interdependence, of pluralism, justice, of transformation, generosity, equity, all centered in love. UUs, we are communities of curates, curating curiously and courageously. Say that 10 times fast. That curation of our existence takes many forms, ranging from the gathering of souls together in worship, as we are doing today, to courageously fighting for justice against fear and hatred. The key element is the root of the word, cura, heartfelt care, the love which is always centered in our principles. Heartfelt care. And that's what makes the work of the UU community so important and honestly in this world so rare. Take that painting, for instance. Rather than a knee-jerk reaction coming from a place of fear and prejudice, similar to what that mayor had, the curation with curiosity would include considering what we are looking at, who created it, who else will experience it, our own biases in relation to it, and an inquisitive orientation toward whatever considerations might evolve. In fact, to truly live our principles, it would also include consideration that that mayor himself was reacting from a place of truth and meaning for him, albeit misguided and influenced by fear. But it was his truth. So as a curate who curates curiously, in considering that some devout Catholics like that mayor might be genuinely disturbed, instead of threatening to close that museum, open space for an explorative platform on the exhibit inclusive of diverse viewpoints. Curating curiously does not preclude disagreement, but welcomes it as a source of learning and a source of growth emotionally and spiritually. Some of you may know who this mayor was, who tried to close the Brooklyn Museum and stifle freedom of expression because his religious sensibilities were offended. If you don't, it was Rudolph Giuliani, who has since defended the human embodiment of dropping dung on Christianity, a name which I will not mention. Dropping dung on meaningful Christianity. The courage it sometimes takes to curate curiously is also mitigated, I will say, by privilege. We must remember that. Opportunity and resources mean more choices. I can choose how to interact with someone who might consider themselves my enemy, for instance, without worrying that they're going to kill me, mindfully considering an approach with conditions, with boundaries. I have the privilege to do that. Yet who am I to counsel the same to, for instance, a young boy born into a war-torn land and recruited into the military by violence and coercion, forcing them to risk their lives daily, giving them far fewer choices? It's mitigated by privilege. In order for us to curate a world where all are equal, those of us with the ability must not close our museum exhibits, our dialogue, or our minds when we feel threatened, but rather curate our reaction to the world with even more curiosity, care even more courageously. Curating with curiosity is extremely challenging when it seems no good choices are evident. It's often the case. And much of what is offered from others is untenable. Yet to be this spiritual guide, this curate, for others and for ourselves, to be a beacon for our UU principles and values, we must have the courage to be bold in our commitment to love, compassion, and peace, even when it seems impossible and our safety is at risk. We must employ curiosity with care towards all views, fears, considerations, traumas, and truths of others with whom we are all interdependent. This talk today, I was going to give an example, and it wasn't going to be about the Middle East. But in thinking of an example of how to curate curiously right now, that is what organically came up. And it's important that I have the courage to address it. Curating my reaction to the situation has been an incredible challenge. But utilizing curiosity as investigation with care and compassion, I know for a fact that first and foremost, no more lives can be lost, and I must join the call for an immediate cessation of violence. War does not bring peace. It does not bring safety. In learning with compassion about the situation of all the parties involved in this war, it is abundantly clear that my curated reaction must be with the awareness that this war harms Palestinians, it harms Israelis, it harms Americans, it harms the entire world. Investigating with compassion this situation, from my perspective, also reveals a bunch of things to me. It reveals to me that I must support peaceful protests for a ceasefire, while recognizing also that some of my Jewish friends and loved ones, including my family, are genuinely afraid. My curiosity has revealed that the protesters truly just want the killing to end. And at the same time, many of these Jews I know have generational trauma, and they're fearful that their identity is being attacked. It means fighting against both Jewish hatred and Palestinian hatred in any form. Curiosity is investigating with compassion. Curiosity as investigating with compassion reveals to me that I must curate my reaction with this understanding as well. That even as a historically oppressed Jewish people rightfully desire a homeland in Israel, which is now, by the way, the most politically progressive country in the Middle East, the genesis of that same country involved colonization and it involved violence. Both of these things must be acknowledged and accounted for. Curiosity with compassion leads me to understand that there are well-meaning and pacifist Jews, including in Israel, that are being misled and manipulated by a right-wing extremist Netanyahu government, and well-meaning people in America and in Israel that are being led by hierarchical governments employing oppressive tactics which must be dismantled. By curating my response with curiosity, I am led to validate the terror of my Middle East and South Asian Arab and Muslim friends and colleagues who are witnessing their communities living in conditions that cannot support life and dying by the thousands. To curate with curiosity means holding multiple terrifying truths, and sometimes wonderful truths, and understanding with compassion that the human reaction to fear and anger is varied and unpredictable and can only be matched by greater love. Yes. When someone asks me why I am a UU, I believe our purpose is to confront the things that challenge us, whether it's a painting of the Virgin Mary with dung or an issue that threatens to rip humanity apart. I believe our purpose is to build a community that works against great resistance and sometimes even greater odds to center love that is often ignored, often avoided, often withheld, and even often killed. I believe our purpose is to do these things as curates who curate in community with curiosity and courage. This work is hard, and it never will be easy. Not everyone has the will to do it. There is a risk and suffering involved, but the spiritual and practical rewards, both, are incalculable. Incalculable. Most importantly, if there is a chance to heal the world, which as a UU minister, I have to believe there is, our work here is indispensable. So, with that, I humbly will ask you to join me in stewardship of this work. If that means a pledge, made or increased, if you can volunteer on a committee or the board or a social justice cause, if it's growing our community by joining a chalice group, if it's coming to Sunday worship, or if you are in a place, as many of us often are, where all you can do is sit at home and rest, please send us love and positive energy from there as you are able. All of these things are equally valuable. I'm excited for the honor of being called, potentially, to this congregation today to do this work together with you.
Now is time for our offertory. Your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of Pacific Unitarian. Each time you give, you renew this commitment, and as a result, your support is intertwined with all that we believe and all that we do here together. This is its own special gift. Pastor Joshua will tell you about this coming up song.
So this song, I'll show you later. This song called Go Out in Joy, when I was ordained, they wanted to write an anthem, or they wanted an anthem for the service, and our musical director put a call out online, and this woman, a wonderful composer, Amanda Udis Kessler, said, I'll compose an anthem for your ordination. So she composed Go Out in Joy with us together, and it was played for the first time at my ordination in Michigan in 22, and it's played for the second time right now. Yeah.
please join me in reciting the affirmation of gratitude that you will see on the screen. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us also be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others. Okay, please stand as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do.
You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. Oh Lord, you got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh Lord, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you got to dance. Oh Lord, you gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. 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 The Spirit says laugh. You gotta shout when the Spirit. Oh, so shout. We were supposed to shout.
We were going to tell you to stay standing and join hands if you are comfortable to do so. I wanted to let you know that Pastor Joshua and his family and the minister search team will exit before the postlude. Please stay for the postlude. We will go to the library. You all will go to brunch, we will count the votes, and then come on back into the room. Okay? Got it all? Well, vote. Voting is the thing. It says vote. We want to vote when the Spirit says vote.
Vote when the Spirit says vote. When the Spirit says vote, you gotta vote, oh Lord. You gotta vote when the Spirit says vote.
Okay, where are we? In closing, let us remember this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences, beneath all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forever. So be it. Amen. Ashe, shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins.